Putting Greg on the hot seat today. Human identity in the hot seat. So are you ready, Greg?
Yep.
All right. When did you personally realize NHI was a top tier security risk?
Well, when I had a webinar call about this, and then people started saying, the whole call was about NHIs, and it made me realize that when people say NHI, very often they will make they mean static keys, API keys, passwords, and such.
Okay. Thank you. And are we repeating the same mistakes with managing NHIs with AI agents?
I think kind of yes and no. So it's true that we privilege, we give them a lot of permissions, and that's a similar mistake than what we did with NHIs. We also don't really govern them and don't really understand how they were created, who created them, and why. So we lack the visibility. That's also true. I think the difference is that very often when we talk about agentic identity it's very often a user. So instead of a user acting as a service, which was the NHI problem very often, here a service is kind of acting as a user, but you don't really see that.
Okay. Do you personally use AI agents in your day-to-day work?
This morning I created an AI agent that books a 2-hour block before my flights for airport transfer, and it was a wild success. So yes, I do to some extent. I'm very cautious though, so I like to stay in the loop.
Okay, the next one's an interesting question. Is IAM for AI more important than AI for IAM?
Let me parse this question. So is AI for IAM more important than IAM for AI?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we talk about IAM for AI, the latter one, I assume that means like permissions for AI agents.
Controlling it.
Like how do you control the entitlements? And AI for IAM would be the AI deciding what someone can do, deciding about the permissions?
Or automating, sort of transforming your...
Okay, so automation, transforming. I'm worried when I hear that, honestly, because it's unpredictable, right? So how can you, because with IAM you want to enforce rules, like very understandable, very clear rules. If you let IAM interfere with that, you're kind of exposing yourself to all the vulnerabilities that come with AI, prompt injection, etc. So IAM for AI is more important.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Now, this one's an interesting one. Do AI agents behave more like employees or software?
I think today they behave more like software, and in the future they will behave more like employees. So I think we are going in a direction where there will be less human in the loop, and the trigger events to make the AI agent do something are going to be not coming from a human anymore. And so they will become more like employees. But right now I think they are still more like services.
Okay. This one's relevant to P0, but does PAM change dramatically with the introduction of agentic AI agents?
I think yes, in some sense, because you won't be able to very easily distinguish between humans and agents. So I guess on day one, you will have to assume that any human access could be an agent. And I think that makes least privilege much more important than it was before. So I guess that's a dramatic change. Like prevention becomes more important than today. The other aspect of it, like when you look at service identities, it's going to change also, because previously you could expect that a service behaves in a certain pre-programmed way, and it always uses the, maybe you provisioned a lot of access, but it kind of used the same things because it did the same workflow. But with AI, with a service identity that's backed by an LLM, there is something called a drift of the context. So as it keeps doing the same thing, at one point it might decide, I'm better off doing this other thing that I never did before. And hey, I have access, so let's just, drop this database, it's easier. So yeah, it does change on both fronts, and overall, least privilege is more important than ever.
All right. Do you think it's possible to truly govern and control agentic AI agents?
I think it's like truly governing humans and NHIs. It's very hard. So I don't think that's going to go away.
All right, this one's an interesting one. Do you think AI agents will need to have proper background checks like humans?
I mean, once we are in a world where they are like employees, I would imagine it would be more like a manpower agency where maybe you hire like OpenAI's employee, like, you know, fleet of agents, or like they will come from some service provider, and yeah, they might behave more like employees where you like deploy them, and or maybe like pets when you assign an owner to them, and one owner will like manage a fleet of such employees or agents.
Okay, do you think organizations are putting time to market ahead of security controls for AI agents?
I think it just happens to them, because what happens is that employees will just go ahead and try to use these tools, and enterprise security teams don't want to let that happen, but it just happens. So they are playing a catch-up game of, okay, let's put security in place. In some cases, though, people want to build their own MCP servers, deploy their own internal tools, and in that case, very often they are just not allowed to do it because security doesn't know how to control it, and they just say, no, wait for us to figure it out.
Okay, and do you think agentic AI can be truly predictable?
I can't predict that. I mean, now it's not, right? But maybe there's a way to make that happen. But at that point, I think it's going to be not. It won't work the way it works today. I think what will happen is it will like a human, right? If you give admin access to the human, you are 99.999% sure they will not drop a database. But sometimes it will happen. Maybe right now we are only at 99% with the agents. We are going to get closer to the 99.999, but it's not going to be 100%.
All right, I'm going to do a little surprise. I'm going to add one final bonus question. Do you think the AI digital workforce will lead to mass unemployment?
I'm actually skeptical of that. I mean, if I look at my own organization and if I look at some others, we are like, oh great, now I'm 100% more productive, but I'm not gonna reduce the workforce that I have. I'm just gonna take it because, like, you're already operating, the company's already operating at a level which, you know, they could afford to hire these people. And what's gonna happen is that your competition, each of those people are going to get, you know, 200% more productive. So now if you fire your workforce, you are still going to lose productivity compared to your competitors. It's just that people who are, you know, they're not well versed in how to use it. They might fall behind in general in the labor marketplace. But I think at the level of companies, they will probably maintain and then take the productivity gains and try to turn it into a competitive advantage.
Okay, thanks, Greg. I hope you enjoyed being in the hot seat. It was very enlightening, and I hope everybody enjoyed the session.
Thank you.